Hey, what's good, y'all? This is Ryan Jackson from Ryan Jackson LLC. Happy Friday, TGIF. We're at the end of the week. The weekend is upon us. Hope y'all had a blessed, and wonderful day, as well as a blessed, and wonderful week. Before I go any further, I should have done this on my first video about Father's Day and my last video about Sister Wilhelmina Lancaster. But I'm gonna do it now and charge it to my head, to this noggin up here, not to my heart. To my noggin, not to my heart. Guess that goes for getting older. Happy Heavenly Father's Day to my late great father-in-law, Mr. Afi Arata. My father-in-law passed away last month on May 15th. I didn't put it on social media. I didn't share it on Facebook or Twitter. I wanted, to respect my mother-in-law, respect my wife and my sister-in-law. I didn't do that. Now, if they chose to do that, then that was on them. But me personally, I didn't want to do it because I didn't want to be disrespectful. But in any event, my father-in-law passed away back on May 15th last month. Mr. Afi Irada. He was 70, 77 years. No, I'm sorry, 76 years young. 76 years young. Passed away. May he rest in power, rest in peace. May Allah be pleased with him. He was one of the sweetest people you ever want to meet. Great, great man. So happy Heavenly Father's Day to my late, dearly departed father-in-law, Mr. Afi Irada. So I had to get that out the way. I had to do that. I would be remiss if I didn't do it. I should have done it on my first video. I should have really did it on my last video. But I forgot, like I said, charge it to this, not to this. So my apologies. Happy Heavenly Father's Day, my father-in-law, my father-in-law, Mr. Afi Irada. Getting into the topic for this video. So, something that I loved coming up as a child, even in my teenage years and my adulthood, really my adulthood and my childhood, I love professional wrestling. I love the WWF, which was the World Wrestling Federation, back when I started watching it in 1984, 85. I remember the first, what was it? WrestleMania. I remember the very first WrestleMania in 85. It was at Madison Square Garden. Believe it was Hulk Hogan and Hulk Hogan and Mr. T. Oh my goodness. It was Hulk Hogan, Mr. T, Mr. Wonderful Paul Orndorff, and was it Roddy Piper? Those who of you who follow wrestling, been following as long as I have, I know the first main event at WrestleMania 1 in Madison Square Garden in 1985. It was Hulk Hogan, Mr. T, Mr. Wonderful Paul Orndorff, and who was the last person? Was it Roddy Piper? I want to say Roddy Piper. But in any event, great event. I remember watching the old Saturday Night Main Event. It came on when they didn't show Saturday Night Live, they would show Saturday Night Main Event. It came on NBC. Great, great. That was wrestling. I love wrestling. I loved it. Saturday Night Main Event. It came on when Saturday Night Live didn't come on. Would come on 11:30 back east. 8:30 out here in the west. About 8:30 out here on the west coast. So 11:30 back east, back in Detroit. It would come on 11:30 at night, and my mom and dad would let me stay up and watch it. Um, Love wrestling, loved it into my adulthood. Was a big fan of WCW, WWE. They dropped the F, they added the E because the World Wildlife Federation sued the World Wrestling Federation because of the WWF acronym. So WWF had to drop it and have E. So it's World Wrestling Entertainment, and it's been that way for over 20 years now. But anyway, in any event, I love wrestling. However, there's a dark side to wrestling, as with most things in life. The racism in wrestling. I was too young and naive to see it at that time when I was 8, 9 years old, but I see it now. Vince McMahon is a racist MFer. So Vince McMahon is a racist MFer, and he's had many allegations of sexual misconduct. He cheated on his wife Linda, and it's not conservative. It's not conservative. Lord have mercy. It's not surprising that Vince McMahon is a racist MFer because I mean he's a huge, 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 huge conservative, and he's a Trump supporter. Not saying that all conservatives and all Trump supporters are racist, because we know that liberals and Biden supporters are racist as well. So I'm not saying that all conservatives and all Trump supporters are racist. I want to make that point clear. But Vince McMahon are like many Trump supporters, many other Trump supporters. He's a big time MAGA supporter, and he's racist as they come. He is. So almost like a Donald Trump. They're both cut from the same cloth. As a matter of fact, Donald Trump and Vince McMahon had a wrestling match, if you could believe that. Yeah, I think a head shaving match or whatever the hell it was. So they're both supporters of each other, and they're cut from the same cloth. They're both vile, disgusting white men, vile, old, disgusting white men who have who are billionaires, who have you know loads of money, and they have a lot of influence, unfortunately. So, like again, they're cut from the same cloth. Both have had many sexual allegations, and both are racist. So, Joe Biden fits that mold too, by the way. He's cut from the same cloth as Vince McMahon and Donald Trump. Just want to throw that out there. But in any event, staying on topic, um, there was a character, a manager actually. One of my favorite wrestlers coming up was the Natural Butch Reed. He would, his pythons and went, mwah, mwah, Natural Butch Reed. He had blonde hair, very well put together. He was from St. Louis. I think he was from St. Louis. The Natural Butch Reed didn't get the credit that I thought he deserved, in my opinion, but excellent, excellent wrestler. He had a manager by the name of Slick. How many of y'all remember Slick? Slick was like a pimp. He had a cane, he had a hat, he was dressed up in a suit, and he came out to this music. You a jive soul bro. You a jive soul bro. I forgot the lyrics to the song, but I could just remember it playing. You a jive soul bro. You a jive soul bro. You never get nothing in the end or something like that. Some dumb crap like that. And Slick could be out there dancing with his cane. Jive soul bro. You a jive soul bro. You never get nothing in the end. He'd be out there dancing with his cane. And it's like, wow. I look back, this was like 1985, 86. And I would just look at this. I was like, yeah. And I'd be out there dancing, to the music. But I didn't know that they were mocking black men, and they thought of them as being nothing but a pimp, being a circus clown, a monkey, a circus monkey, a performing monkey, a bear. They were making fun of us. Slick, the manager Slick. There was this guy, wrestler from Chicago. He used to be called the One Man Gang. He was a big, big, tall dude, like 6'9", 6'10", real big. Believe he had a mohawk, but when he was the One Man Gang, he had a jean jacket. It had graffiti all on it, and he hailed from the south side of Chicago. And his finishing move was a suplex. That was one of his finishing moves. Well, he went from One Man Gang to Akeem. or Hakeem, whatever the character was. How many of y'all remember this? Coming up in the 80s, us 80s kids, 70s babies, 80s kids. How many of y'all remember Hakeem or One Man Gang when he transferred to Akeem? Akeem was dressed in a bright blue and yellow dashiki with tights, and he had a kofi on, a kufi on. I think he had a kufi on. I think he had a kufi. I think he had a kufi, if I'm not mistaken, which was the same colors as his dashiki and his tights, blue and yellow. How many of y'all remember this? Shout out in the chat if you remember this. And so Hakeem would come out and he would be doing this. My name is Akeem and I'm from the motherland of Africa. And as a child, again, I was ignorant, I was young. My brain hadn't fully developed yet. I thought that this was cool. I thought this was cool. But again, they were mocking black people, a black man. They were making mockery of Africa, of our culture, and making billions upon billions of dollars on it. Billions. And Slick was his manager. And Slick would be out there with the cane, dancing. Your job so bro. Your job so bro. Oh boy. Hit the thumbs up button. Smash that thumbs up button down. Hit the subscribe button so you get notifications on the new videos on here. The Rock, Rocky Malavella, or I'm sorry, Rocky Johnson, excuse me, Rocky Johnson. His grandfather was Chief, I always pronounce his last name, but his grandfather, his maternal grandfather was the chief who owned a wrestling organization in Hawaii, where his grandmother did. But The Rock, Dwayne Johnson's father, Rocky Johnson, was a wrestler in the 70s, 80s, and I think he wrestled a little bit into the 90s. He never got his just due. Never got his just due, as far as I'm concerned. One of the greatest wrestlers in wrestling, professional wrestling history, was Dwayne Johnson, The Rock's father. Black man from Nova Scotia in Canada. Never, never, ever got his just due. And I think it's because he was a black man. He was a strong black man. They had him wrestling in Saudi Arabia, for God's sakes. He never got his just due. I never saw him in any main events that I can remember, that I could think of when I was a child. I never saw him on any other any cards. I never saw him on Saturday morning wrestling. When he's coming on Saturday mornings at 11 o'clock, well, 11 o'clock Detroit time. After cartoons, wrestling would come on for an hour. I never saw him on any of the other main cards or any of the wrestling events. Never. Never saw him on Saturday night main event. Never saw him any of the WrestleManias until he retired and he came out with his son. To but that wasn't at the main event. That was on Raw. But that was again years later after he had become an old man and was pretty much honoring his son. I don't remember seeing him on any of the promotional cards in the WWF at that time when I was coming up, and that's a damn shame. It's effed up. And rest in peace to the Rock's father, Rocky Johnson. Wow, man, it's oh my gosh, he didn't get his just due. Um, Another one of my favorite wrestlers. You remember JY? Y'all remember JYD, the Junkyard Dog? He had a chain. He had a bone in his mouth, and I can't do this dance now because I'm sitting down. But JYD, he hailed from South Carolina. So a black man is a dog now with a dog chain and a collar, and he used to bark. Really, really, Vince McMahon. How about oh another wrestler? They never promoted the strong wrestler, the black men who were masculine type, who didn't go for the buffoonery, like Bad News Brown, who hailed from Harlem. Love Bad News Brown. Was a huge fan of him. He wasn't a good guy. He wasn't a heel. He was like a he was just in his own thing, like Stone Cold Steve Austin. Matter of fact, I think the Stone Cold Steve Austin character was stolen from Bad News Brown's character. They created Stone Cold Steve Austin from Bad News Brown's character. Bald-headed black man, beard, was a loner, didn't have any allies. They took Stone Cold Steve Austin from that character. Stone Cold Steve Austin, bald-headed white man, beard, was a loner, was a redneck from Texas, drunk beer, hated authority. So did Bad News Brown. I just thought of that. But he didn't get promoted enough because, again, he didn't fit the mold of a Sambo. Neither did the Natural Butch Reed. Neither did Ron Simmons. It's another strong black wrestler. Speaking of Ron Simmons, do y'all remember the Nation of Domination back in the late 90s? That was in WWF. They took them from the idea of the Nation of Domination they got from the Fruit of Islam, from the Nation of Islam. That's where they created that from. That was an homage to the Nation of Islam's Fruit of Islam, the FOI. That's what the Nation of Domination was paying homage to. Strong black men. You had D'Lo Brown. You had The Rock. He started off in the Nation of Domination. You had the brother that they turned into a pimp, and I'm gonna touch on that here in a few seconds. He started off the Godfather. I forgot what his character's name was in the Nation of Domination, and their leader was Farouk, who was Ron Simmons. And they came out to this music, Nation of Domination. We are the nation of domination. And they were strong black men. They didn't last long because Vince McMahon didn't like that. They were paying homage, again, to the Nation of Islam's Fruit of Islam, the FOI. That's what they were paying homage to. And I love the Nation of Domination. D'Lo Brown, The Rock, the brother that was the who later became the Godfather, unfortunately, and Ron Simmons, Farouk. Was it one more, or was it just those four? But any event, they that was my favorite group. I love the Nation of Domination, loved them. They broke that up. D'Lo Brown became a clown, and the one brother became a pimp, the Godfather, where he would have women come out and they would yell, "The whole train," and he would come out with a cane and start dancing. Again, they think of black men as pimps, as clowns, as circus monkeys or bears. Buffoonery. D'Lo Brown was the man when he was in Nation of Domination. The Godfather, before he became that, was a strong black man. That was what he was personifying. But that wasn't good enough for Vince McMahon. He didn't like that. He wanted that pimp culture. All black men are pimps. That's all we are to this deceitful, vile cracker. We are pimps, clowns, thugs. I'm gonna touch on that here too. That's all we are. That's all we were to him. But so they turned him into a pimp, and he would say, "Pimping ain't easy," and he would have women out there dancing around him, and that's what he was a pimp. Do y'all remember the tag team Crime Time? This is in the mid 2000s, around 06, 07, 08, 09. Two brothers who hail from Harlem. Crime Time. They would wear jeans and Timberlands and tank tops, and they had cornrows. So that's what you think of us? We're criminals. Crime Time. That was the name of this tag team. Crime Time. Again, they were rocking baggy jeans and Tims and wife beaters, and they had cornrows. I think one of them had a grill in his mouth, but that's what he thought of us as thugs, pimps. Now that I didn't like. I had by that time I was kind of starting to go away from wrestling. But one thing I can say about Ted Turner, one thing I can say about Ted Turner, WCW, you never seen that I can remember. And those of you who watch wrestling, they let the black wrestlers be themselves. They didn't want them to be a caricature or a stereotypical character of themselves. They didn't have that in WCW. I could say that about them. They had racism in WCW because Ric Flair and the Four Horsemen were racist. Their stories. Teddy Long told a story about how racist Iron Anderson and Ric Flair were. Still are racist. My grandmother used to say, "A leopard never changes spots," and she was right. But I can say that about WCW. They never made black people stereotypical. They never did that. Even Mexican wrestlers, the luchadors, lucha libre, they had them be themselves. They had them maintain their Mexican heritage in WCW. Now, Vince McMahon, he didn't do that. There were some lucha libres, Mexican wrestlers who came over to the WWE. I don't remember their names, but he turned them into migrant. Look at my dog again. Bear with me. So a car backfired down the street and triggered my dog. That's why, dogs doing what dogs do. So thank you for bearing with me. But going back to what I was saying, so these Mexican wrestlers was Lucha Libre. They came over to WWE. Don't remember their names, but Vince McMahon transformed them into like illegal migrant workers. They came out on a John Deere tractor. Like all they were like lawnmower people who cut your grass, pretty much. Mexican laborers. That's what he turned them into. That is so damn stereotypical. So damn stereotypical. So that's what you degrade them to. Migrant workers or laborers, so they could cut your damn grass. That's what you think of Mexican wrestlers as grass cutters. But again, WCW never, ever did this. They never did this. And in the 90s, from 1996 to about 99, early 2000, WCW was kicking WWE's ass in the ratings. They were kicking their asses. Everybody was watching WCW. That 4 year span from like 96, 97 to about 2000, especially in 98, 99. Then were the peak years for WCW. I mean, you had Dennis Rodman joining Hulk Hogan. They were in the NWO. Y'all remember the NWO, the New World Order, against Diamond Dallas Page and Karl Malone. And this was right on the heels of the 1998 NBA Finals when the Bulls beat the Utah Jazz. Rodman playing for the Bulls, Karl Malone, star player, power forward for the Utah Jazz. Bulls had beat him in 6 games, so this was right on the heels of that. So it helped the ratings for the NBA, but it really helped the ratings for the WCW skyrocket. Skyrocket. Dennis Rodman versus Karl Malone. Diamond Dallas Page versus Hulk Hogan. Skyrocket. It was so funny. I remember Karl Malone told Dennis Rodman, "I'm going to whoop you the way Madonna should have." It was so funny. So funny. But it helped WCW's ratings. It was genius. It was genius. Because like again, Rodman had joined the NWO. Um, at the same time now, Goldberg. Y'all remember Goldberg? He was starting to emerge. 1998, Goldberg was starting to emerge. You had grown people, myself included. I was 22 years old. I was a kid, but I was still grown, wearing NWO shirts, New World Order. Goldberg went on a what? He won like 75 straight matches or some crazy insane thing like that. And his matches lasted like a minute. He would spear you. That was his signature move because he was an ex-football player. And he went like on a 75 match win streak or something insane like that. He didn't lose a match for like over a year. He went on like on this insane streak, and again, and his matches lasted like a minute or a minute and a half because he would spear you. And everybody loved Goldberg. Bill Goldberg, white man, real big, muscular bound white man, had a goatee. Y'all remember Goldberg? Um, Again, at the same time, Sting had came back to wrestling. One of my favorite wrestlers, probably my favorite. Yeah, probably my favorite. Definitely in my top three, if not my favorite wrestler was Sting. He came back. He was the answer to the NWO because the NWO was wrecking shop in the WCW. Sting came back. Sting was a loner. He didn't have any allies. Sting was looking like the Crow. He had his hair slicked back, was long, and he had a mask on, a white mask, and he had a long trench coat, and he had a baseball bat. I remember the NWO was doing a spill, was talking a mess, and the lights went out. And next thing you know, they were all laid out. They were beat up. Sting had a baseball bat. He had descended from the rafters with a baseball bat and beat every member of the NWO to a pulp. I cried laughing. One man beat the hell out the whole NWO, and they were deep. You remember how the NWO used to roll? Kevin Nash, Scott Hall used to be Razor Ramon years ago in the WWE or WWF at that time. Had a toothpick. Hey yo. What was another one? X Pac, who was in Degeneration X. But the two main enforcers of the NWO was Kevin Nash, the leader, Big Sexy is what they called him, and Scott Hall. They were deep. They were deep. The Giant, he joined the NWO. He was a good guy, and then he turned to the NWO. Many of them they were deep, and Sting beat every last one of them with a baseball bat. One man wrecking crew. Again, this is when Goldberg and the Rodman Hogan versus Diamond Dallas Page and Carmelo thing was going on. And WCW was kicking WWE's ass in the ratings. They were kicking their ass in the ratings. Everybody wanted to watch Monday Night Nitro. Eric Bischoff, Ted Turner, geniuses. Everybody wanted to tune in to Monday Night Nitro. Everybody. Nobody was watching Raw. And then come about 2000, that's when things started to change. About 99, 2000, that's when things kind of started changing, like late 99, early 2000. That's when The Rock became The Rock. Do you smell what The Rock is cooking? D-Generation X. But they were already popular in the 90s. But they started regaining their popularity. Shawn Michaels, Stone Cold, the Attitude Era for WWE, the Attitude Era. That's what brought WWE back. That's what saved them from total and from being defunct forever. That saved them from bankruptcy. The Attitude Era of wrestling, the late 90s into the early 2000s, they call it the Attitude Era. That's what saved the WWE. Am I right or am I absolutely right? D-Generation X, The Rock, Stone Cold, let's see, Shawn Michaels, The Heartbreak Kid. I love D-Generation X. The Road Dogg, Jesse James. He was so funny. That was my boy. Of course, Triple H, X-Pac, X-Pac, D-Generation X. You had Rikishi. Rikishi, big Samoan wrestler. You had Kurt Angle, who was great wrestler, Olympic wrestler. He won a medal at a gold medal at the '96 Olympics in Atlanta. Kurt Angle, who now works in the front office of WWE. Last time I think I saw that not too long ago. That's when all these wrestlers started merging, and they started taking wrestlers from the WCW. They start coming over. Your Chris Jericho. He was a great wrestler, but he was boring. He started becoming a clown, very, very comical. Great wrestler though. Edge and Christian. All this was during the Attitude Era. All this was during that era. Later on, I guess you could say Randy Orton, but that was like much later. But yeah, they started coming over. Even you have some wrestlers from WWE come over to WCW back in the mid 90s, late 90s. Roddy Piper, who was like a comedian, he was in the WCW. I remember Roddy Piper in the WWF back in 1984, 85. How many of y'all remember Piper's Pit, his little talk show he had? Never forget, it was once this one Roddy Piper was going to face off against Hillbilly Jim. Don't go messing with a country boy. Y'all remember Hillbilly Jim from Kentucky? Had a straw hat, had a straw in his mouth, big old beard, coveralls, like a Jed Clampett type of character, a Beverly Hillbilly type of character, if you will. But anyway, he was facing off. They were supposed to wrestle each other, and so Mean Gene Okerlund used to interview the wrestlers before their matches. And Roddy Piper came out with a straw hat and with a straw in his mouth and was mocking Hillbilly Jim, and it was the funniest thing I've ever seen. I laughed so hard. I must have been 9 years old. That tickled me to death. Oh well, Mean Gene, I'll say, Mean Gene, I'm gonna come out there. Roddy Piper did that. It was so hilarious. It was so funny. Roddy Piper could have been a comedian because he was funny. His one line, he was funny. He was funny. But that's the wrestling I remember. And now I haven't watched wrestling in about 9 or 10 years. I've gotten away from it. It's gotten too sexualized, too. They have a transgender wrestler now. It's gotten so far out of hand. but yeah, just the racism in WWE. A good brother of mine told me a story that Bad News Brown, who I mentioned a few minutes earlier, he got into it with Andre the Giant because Andre the Giant was a giant a racist. He's from France, for God's sakes. The French are racist against black French people. White French people, white people from France are racist against black people from France. I've seen it. There's a history of racism in France, even to this day. Excuse me. And Andre the Giant hailed from France, and he carried that racism over here. And Bad News Brown had to check him where it got to the point of them becoming, they almost got into a physical altercation. They almost got into a physical altercation. Um, Hulk Hogan was racist. Well, you saw what happened with him when he got caught with his racism, making some racist statements. WWE banned him from the Hall of Fame. They banned his brand only to bring him back. That which was a joke. You may as well not even have banned him. But that's Vince McMahon's doing. That's what he did. Like I said, a racist is going to protect the racist. They're going to protect the racist no matter what. So Hulk Hogan, of course, he was a racist. We knew that. We found out that it revealed itself a few years back. Andre the Giant, Vince McMahon, of course. These were racist. There was a tag team that went up against Crime Time. They were hillbillies from Texas. I can't remember this tag team's name, but Vince McMahon's point was white America against black crime. Wholesome white America against black crime. Crime Time hailed from Harlem. They were the thugs. They rocked the baggy jeans, the Timbs, the cornrows, the wife beaters against conservative, moral rednecks from Texas. It was the most stereotypical garbage I've ever seen. I can't remember the name of this tag team. Anyone watching this, please shout it out. Please shout it out. Please shout it out. What was the name of this tag team? It was two white men from Texas. I can't remember. It was around 2006, 2007, 2008 time frame. I can't remember the name of this tag team for the life of me. Anyone who knows, please shout it out. Please. It'd be greatly appreciated. I can see their faces. I just can't remember the name of the tag team. Harlem Heat. They came from WCW. What was the brother's name? Stevie Ray and what's my man name? Stevie Ray. What's the brother from Houston? Oh my God, I can't remember. I can't believe I'm drawing a blank now. Stevie Ray and anyway, Harlem Heat. So they hail from WCW. They weren't bootlicking Sambos. They weren't. Not in WCW. They weren't, and not in WWE. But one of them became. They broke apart, and one of them became, a single wrestler. What was his name? Booker T. Booker T. Knew I was gonna remember that. Booker T. But Booker T did coon, because in the interview they did with him, he was cooning. Shame on you, Booker T. He was cooning, big time. He's from Houston. Stevie Ray was his partner in Harlem Heat when they were in WCW. My favorite tag team in WCW was Harlem Heat. And like I said, they weren't no stereotypical buffoons. They just did their business. They came out and did what they needed to do. But Booker T became a single wrestler when he got to WWE. Because, like I said, he came from WCW, him and Stevie Ray. And Booker T was cooning. He was cooning hard. So was Mark Henry. Mark Henry was in love with with Mae West. I think that was her name. What was the Great Moolah? The chocolate Sexy Chocolate, in love with an old wrinkled white woman. That's what Vince McMahon wanted to push. A big, burly, strong black man in love with a wrinkled old white woman who played his mama. The mammy slave narrative. That's what Vince McMahon wanted to go to. And if y'all don't see through that, how racist that was, then y'all not paying attention. You in a coma. That was racism at its finest right there. Mark Henry and the Great Moolah, or whatever her name was, that old wrinkled, ugly white woman. And Mark Henry was was so in love with her. My chocolate thunder, sexy chocolate, sexy chocolate. Mark Henry was a big coon. But in any event, hit that thumbs up button, smash that thumbs up button down, hit the subscribe button so you get notifications on the new videos on here. But like I said, I haven't watched wrestling in a while, and now R-Truth, another wrestler, was actually on Master P's label, No Limit. Brother from North Carolina. I don't think he should have got. I don't think he got the recognition that he deserved, in my opinion. But he was the rapper wrestler, you know. Now it's John Cena. So they took what R-Truth was and put it to John Cena. John Cena is nothing more than a Mark Wahlberg on steroids. That's all John Cena is. It's Mark Wahlberg on steroids. They're both from Boston. They both are white boys who want to be black, and they both, you know, are hip hop, I guess, are fans of hip hop. You can't see me. That started from R-Truth. So, like again, they took the R-Truth, his characteristics, and put it to John Cena because John Cena was a nobody. He was the average wrestler. Now he rocks Jordans and oversized jean shorts with a football jersey, hat to the back. He's like a white b-boy. You can't see me, yo. Again, a Mark Wahlberg on steroids. That's all John Cena is. I did not stutter when I said that. A Mark Wahlberg on steroids. Yeah, that's right. I said it. On that note, I'm gonna hop off of here. Think I made my point known how racist wrestling has become. It's sad because it's something that I enjoyed as a child, and many of y'all enjoyed it too when y'all were kids. Us, you know, who were born in the 70s, who came up in the 80s and came into adulthood into the 90s. And are OGs now. We the OGs. We got the gray hair or no hair. We the OGs now. But in any event, what's up, my brother? What's good, man? Peace. Peace, black man. What's the science? Thank you for tuning in. But we talked about this. I told you I was gonna do this video. And I was a man of my word. Good to see you, good brother. Happy Father's Day to you too. But in any event, I'm gonna hop off of here, y'all. Y'all have a great, great rest of your day. Have a great weekend. I have to run a couple of last minute errands. It's almost 4 o'clock here on the West Coast, so I got to run these errands. Y'all have an excellent, excellent week. To all the fathers out there, have a happy Father's Day weekend. Have a happy Father's Day on Sunday. Do something for yourself. Make sure you're honored. This is y'all weekend, y'all day. Again, like I said in my first video, this is for fathers, not single mothers. Fathers, not single mothers. Fathers are men, adult men, not single mothers. So Father's Day, make sure you're being honored and make sure you enjoy your day and enjoy this weekend. So next time, like I always say, like I always leave y'all, beware and be aware of your surroundings. This devil comes to kill, steal, and destroy. So please, please, please beware and be aware. Sisters as well as brothers, y'all take care of yourselves. I love y'all. Support the channel, support the podcast. I greatly appreciate it. Share this video, share it if you like it, share it, share it, share it. Drop your comments below. Like I always say, we can agree, but let's agree to disagree without being disagreeable. Let's agree to disagree without being disagreeable. Let's do that, even on topics such as this. Again, y'all have a weekend. I love y'all, and I'm out. Peace and blessings and much love.